Have you ever wondered what it takes to change a nation without lifting a single weapon? Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't just a preacher. He was a voice, a storm, a movement. In this journey, we'll uncover not just what he did, but why he mattered more than ever. Imagine a child born in Atlanta in 1929, who at age 15 skipped high school, entered college, then devoted his life to ending racial injustice nonviolently. This is the story of Martin Luther King Jr. Pastor, activist, Nobel laureate, martyr. Today, Untold Lives USA brings you the full journey of born on January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia, Michael King Jr. was the EE's life. From Atlanta's Sweet Auburn to the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Through triumph and tragedy. Michael King Jr. Born on January 15, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. Michael King Jr. was the second child of Martin Luther King Sr., a prominent Baptist minister, and Alberta Williams King, a former schoolteacher. His birth name was changed in 1934 in honor of the German reformer Martin Luther, a decision that shaped his destiny. Growing up in Sweet Auburn, a thriving African-American neighborhood, he was influenced by faith, family, and the church's message of equality. He witnessed first demonstrations as early as 1936 led by his father, sparking his belief in justice. A boy genius. By age 15, he passed high school exams, enrolled at Morehouse College, then earned a sociology degree in 1948. He went on to Crozier Theological Seminary and Boston University, where he earned his bachelor and then PhD in theology. At Crozier, King encountered Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence and civil disobedience. Later, inspired, he studied overseas. On a trip to India in 1959, he found clarity in how oppressed people could win freedom without violence. In 1953, King married Coretta Scott in Marion, Alabama. Together they had 4 children. In 1954, he became pastor at Montgomery's Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, beginning the path that would soon change a nation. In June 1950, as a seminary student, King participated in a sit-in at Mary's Cafe in New Jersey, the first act of nonviolent protest in his life. This moment foreshadowed the movement he would lead. On December 1st, 1955, seamstress Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a Montgomery bus. Her arrest became the spark for community action. That very night, the Women's Political Council, led by Joanne Robinson, distributed thousands of flyers calling for a boycott on December 5th, 1955. King, then a young pastor at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, offered his church's basement for meetings. To everyone's surprise, he was nominated president of the new Montgomery Improvement Association, MIA. He delivered his first public plea for nonviolent protest, all within 20 minutes of learning he'd been appointed. Refusing to ride buses, Black residents walked, carpooled, and organized secretly. King reflected, "It is more honorable to walk in dignity than ride in humiliation." The boycott lasted 381 days and ended in 1956 when the Supreme Court ruled bus segregation unconstitutional. King had become a national leader. The boycott drew violent retaliation, bomb threats, arrests, and taunts. King himself was jailed and fined $500 or 386 days in prison. He chose jail, claiming proudly it was his crime of resisting injustice. In 1957, King and other ministers founded the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC, to apply nonviolent protest across the South. Rooted in church ethics and Gandhian principles, it became a national movement hub. Led by King, the SCLC launched campaigns in places like Birmingham, Alabama, children's marches, sit-ins, and media-savvy protests, aimed at showcasing injustice to the nation. These campaigns would culminate in one of the most historic events in U.S. civil rights. After the Civil Rights Act of 1964, King aimed for bolder symbolism. He helped organize the March on Washington on August 28, 1963, with over 250,000 people gathered on the Mall for equality and voting rights. Standing before the Lincoln Memorial, King spoke 164 words of the I Have a Dream speech, freely improvising parts like I Have a Dream, inspired by Mahalia Jackson. It became a defining moment in American history. The speech galvanized public opinion, strengthened civil rights legislation, and elevated King to global recognition, earning him the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. At 35, Michael King Jr. became the youngest Nobel Peace Prize winner for his nonviolent resistance to racism. He pledged his prize money to the civil rights movement. In early 1965, King led efforts in Selma, Alabama, to register black voters. On March 7, 1965, law enforcement attacked peaceful marchers on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, shocking the nation. After a court injunction, King led a successful 54-mile Selma to Montgomery march, March 21 to 25th, culminating in a powerful speech at the Capitol, leading directly to the 1965 Voting Rights Act. King turned northward in 1966-67, targeting economic disparities in Chicago. He highlighted segregated housing and urban injustice, expanding civil rights to include economic equality. In April 1967, King publicly condemned the Vietnam War as immoral, linking it to racial oppression and economic injustice. His speech, Beyond Vietnam, cost him popularity among his allies. He launched the Poor People's Campaign, calling Americans to rally on Washington for jobs, housing, and justice. It was his most radical effort, uniting people by economic need. On April 4, 1968, King was assassinated on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, where he supported striking sanitation workers. His death sent shockwaves across America. Millions mourned, flags flew at half-staff, students rioted, and his body lay in state in Atlanta at Ebenezer Baptist Church. Presidents Johnson and Nixon attended his funeral. His legacy endures: Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the False Voting Rights Act, memorials in D.C. and Atlanta, and his speeches continue to inspire. His dream remains unfinished, but alive. Even in death, his dream lives on. His speeches echo in classrooms, protests, and parliaments. His legacy reminds us, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Thank you for watching this tribute to a man who changed the world with words.